Chef Richard Miller. Welcome to Chef Richard's Kitchen. Today I want to make a hanger steak with a cilantro creme sauce. And what I want to do is I just want to go ahead and I want to start this, and we're going to make it in a couple of steps. The first one is going to be we're going to make our creme sauce. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to blend up our rub, and we're going to rub our steak with it. We're going to let it marinate for a little bit. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cook that to about probably medium rare to medium, and then we're going to go ahead and slice it on the bias and top it with our cilantro creme sauce. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to start out with about 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. And about 3 or 4 tablespoons of Mexican crema. I actually prefer the crema over sour cream. It's much more mellow, better balance in there. I think it tastes a lot better. A clove and a half of garlic, about a 1/4 cup of onion, probably about a tablespoon of lime zest, and probably another tablespoon of lime juice, which is basically I just took and juiced the lime that I grated the zest off of. And finally about a 1/2 cup of chopped cilantro. Alright, now I'm going to wait and put in the salt and pepper until after we see how this comes out. It's a good flavor, but it's just kind of flat. So let's try putting about 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a couple of grinds of the old pepper grinder. Much better. It's just amazing how just a little salt and pepper will just brighten things up. That was extremely flat and flabby, and now it tastes much more bright in there. So I think we've gone ahead and we've got it. So let me go ahead and put this into a bowl, and I'm going to get set up. We're going to take and we're going to create a rub. We're going to rub our steak, and then we're going to let it marinate that way for a little while. So don't go far. I know you'll be back. So will I. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to make the rub. And we start out with a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of onion powder, teaspoon of black pepper, about a half teaspoon of garlic powder, a quarter to 3/8 of a teaspoon of smoked paprika, quarter teaspoon of cumin, and about 1/8 of a teaspoon, or just a little bit, of ginger. So we'll go ahead and mix this up. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to rub it on our steak here. Alright, now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to let this steak warm up to room temperature, and that ought to give it about enough time that some of the spicing ought to start marinating through. So, give me about 15 minutes. I'll be back in minutes. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to put it in the skillet, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to brown it on both sides, and then I'm going to stick it in the oven, and I'm going to bake it at 400 until it just gets up around the medium rare stage. At that point, we'll bring it out, let it rest. It'll probably go higher, more to the medium stage, but that'll be fine. So let's go over to the stove now. Okay, the first thing I want to do is I'm going to put about 4 tablespoons of butter in here. Okay, now that our butter's melted, let's go ahead and put our steak in. Okay, it's browning nicely. I'm going to leave it on for about another minute or so, and then we're going to go ahead and flip it. Okay, that's browned very nicely on that side. So now let's give it a couple minutes on the other side, and then we'll finish it in the oven. Yeah, right now, right now the meat is very, very cold raw. It's about 75 degrees. So we'll definitely put it in the oven for a little bit. Medium rare is probably between 125 to 130 degrees somewhere. But remember, we have to leave it rest for just a little bit. And when you let something rest, the temperature, the internal temperature, keeps climbing, probably about anywhere between 3 and 5 degrees. So we might be closer to medium when we're done. Alright, we're about ready. Let's go ahead and put it in the oven. We're up to 90 some degrees, so we can go ahead and put it in now. I'm going to set the timer for 5 minutes. Okay, the steak's been browned on both sides, and it was about 90, 95 degrees internal temperature when I went ahead and put it in the oven. I stuck it in there for 5 minutes. It isn't going to be ready at that point, but I just wanted to put a thermometer in there just to kind of get an idea how quick the temperature is rising. I'd hate to say, oh, let's put it in for 30 minutes, and then at 30 minutes open it up and it's a piece of charcoal. So try early just to kind of get an idea of how fast the temperature is rising in there. Okay, I'm bringing out a cutting board just simply because when we bring the steak out of the oven, we want to set it on this board and we want to let it rest for about 10 minutes. And I'll tell you why as soon as we take the steak out of the oven. Okay, we've gotten the meat out of the oven and I put it on this cutting board here. And now it's time to let it rest. And why are we going to let it rest? Well, number one, when you cook meat, all of the juices want to be forced out of the meat, all right? And if you've ever taken and cooked a pork chop and saw that it goes from, this to about that, that's exactly what's happening. It's about as tough as your shoe. And what happens is all that juice tends to want to get forced out to the edge. And if we were to cut this right now, the only thing we do is let all that juice run out. And essentially, as far as I'm concerned, at that point, all that you've done is wasted a perfectly good cut of meat. So let it rest 5 to 10 minutes. That'll let those juices draw back into the meat again. And when you cut it, it'll be much, much more juicy and much more palatable. So I'm going to let this sit about 5 minutes, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut it and we're going to plate. So I'll be right back. All right, it's been about 10 minutes, something like that. So let's go ahead and we want to slice it on the bias, about 45 degrees. And if we look, it came out just about medium. And that's just where we expected it to come out. Getting in the middle, it's a little more medium rare. Now, depending upon your guest, what you want to do is on the ends, you'll find that it's a little bit more done. So if you have people that like it on the little more well done side, give them what's coming on the end. If they like it kind of like me, I like it medium rare, or so people say, well, it's half alive. Well, that's the challenge. If I don't eat it, it eats me. No, that isn't exactly quite true. But anyway, let's go ahead and plate now. And you want to give your guests probably about 4 of these strips. Stack them kind of one on top of another. Now let's take our crema sauce. And let's put that over the top. Let's go ahead and take a few of those and put it on our plate as well. Now, garnish. Since we had lime in with the cilantro crema, we might put a piece of lime there. We can take, and since we had parsley and chives on the carrots, we might put a little of that on there. If you want, I probably wouldn't necessarily put parsley on there. I'd probably put a little cilantro. Kind of like this. And there we are. There's our hanger steak with a cilantro cream sauce and carrots with an herb honey butter. Now, what do we have to do? Well, I'm going to use this right here, to take the picture of. So what I'm going to do is, remember I said taste it. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a little bit, put a little cilantro cream on it. Here's another one you could serve to anybody. And unless there's some reason they don't eat beef or something like that, this is great. You get a very good taste of the beef, and when we rubbed it with that dry rub, it marinated into there a little bit, and it gives it a really, really good flavor. The cilantro creme sauce is well balanced. It has a very, very good flavor. I'm glad I used the Mexican crema instead of sour cream because it's so much more mild, it's so much better flavored. And I realize the American dairies are probably not going to like me for that, but that's the truth. I like the crema a lot better. So, anyway, here we've just made another dish. Feel free to give it a try. In fact, please give it a try. If this is something you haven't considered in the past, step outside your comfort zone, and give it a try. Remember, everything that I make on this episode at one time was me stepping out of my comfort zone. So, if I can do it, Lord only knows you can do it too. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Take care. God bless. Give me a thumbs up and hopefully you'll subscribe to this channel. And I'll see you next episode. Bye-bye.